All right, folks, welcome on back here this Monday, January 3rd. Still, of course, first trading day of the calendar year. Great to see Chuck. Great to see Leda. Great to see John, who just cleaned up actually just now on this GNPX trade. And great to see all of us otherwise live inside the Cyber Group room. And of course, if you're joining us back once again on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome on back. Great to see Bell. Great to see Ray. Great to see Phil. Buongiorno to my Italian friend Andrea. Lawrence I as well. Great to have him back in the Cyber Group room. Brian included as well. All right. And if anyone's joining in on after, I appreciate everybody joining us here. So let's hop right into it, folks. The GMPX trade to begin, right? I think, here's the thing. I don't think I technically wrote this on the morning watch list. We talked about it, right? I think I made the little error by not putting it on the actual list, but we were watching this from pre-market. We were watching this at the end of the morning meeting, right? I was saying at the time, like, I'm surprised this didn't pop up on my gainers list here at the time, right? So we were all over this stock. In fact, I mentioned from the morning meeting, this was the first stock that came out with any sort of COVID related news back in January of 20. So, we were following this all throughout the morning. It gave us a false breakout at first. It ended up making a false break from 165 right here. And then once it rebroke it, that's when this thing ended up making its run. We were calling out the 165 resistance all throughout the market open. So I know myself and a bunch of us ended up jumping in right once it broke this resistance. And from there, well, the rest is history. Now, we're not necessarily expecting this to be an all day hold. I mean, hey, if you ended up doing that, much like John S. in our live trading room just did, he was in from $1.14. So, perhaps he had this early on from pre market or maybe from last week as some sort of swing. Oh no, I'm sorry. He got in from a 186. He made $1.14 on it. My apologies, John. Just read that wrong. He was in from 186. So nonetheless, he got in early with us here. He held on throughout the day. Ended up treating him very nicely. If you have the chance to take profits, and if you're uncertain about the future of the trade, do it. You have the chance to get back in, right? You always have the chance to get back in if the stock gives you it, of course. Now, with that, it ended up making a couple of false breaks over 225, and much like at 165, once it rebroke it, all bets were off. So, hey, looks easy to say in hindsight, right? But we're going to talk about this trade likely in our Traders Talk workshop tomorrow. For all of us inside Cyber Group, you folks know, or maybe if you're a new attendee joining us for this week, that's our weekly workshop, our weekly Q&A workshop hosted in the Cyber Group room. If you have any questions or trades that you would like to go over, including this GMPX, just shoot me a quick email, folks. I know Udea did earlier. We'll talk about all these questions and trades in tomorrow's workshop. Now, that same to be said for all of us in social media, but you folks would need to go down to the link on the banner below the stream to get yourself started on a small trial to our trading room. Now, the GMPX heading into the close, I wrote this earlier. Once it ended up breaking under 3 as support, I said maybe lights out from this point. Once it slammed under 3 here and ended up dropping off pretty quickly. So it's not fully written off yet, but it doesn't look as good now. So, hey, I'll keep this on our list in hopes. You don't want to solely rely on hope, right? But nonetheless, if we can see this build some support and a pop back over 3, then perhaps we have room for one more run before the end of the day. All right. So, hey, GNPX, nice runner. We'll see if that keeps going. The IMMX trade, may as well just go from top to bottom otherwise. And you could tell this is my actual trading platform here because I'm all over it. I got all my crazy lines there, so pardon that. But man, this IMMX trade, going into the market open, it was trending up beautifully, ended up popping and getting halted instantly. Well, unless if you were holding on to the trade for a long while from pre-market, which 95% of us weren't in the trading room, then hey, you wouldn't have been able to trade this really as much. But once it came back down, that's when it ended up showing strength. And, it's easy to say looking at the trend on the chart, but the level that I'm talking about here, $7.27. When this ended up getting halted on the way down, actually, there was a big print that came out on time and sales afterwards. That big opening halt print actually created a beautiful support. Doesn't look like a great looking chart, but based off that one price, it afforded multiple opportunities. Now, unfortunately, though, when it went to re-break above 8, major resistance at $8, you would think the more it's teasing this break without it completely going the other way, then you're going to get a new run, a pop, a new high. Well, we got that, but unfortunately, no support, ended up slamming right back down under 8. In a sense similar to GNPX once it broke under 3, but in this case, this thing just keeps dropping. It finally just broke back under the 727 line that I have there on the chart. That was something I was calling out in the trading room throughout the mid-afternoon thus far. The stock, relatively new IPO, so that's what we were more interested on this trade about going into the morning. At this point right now, it's just still dumping off. You can't guarantee that 631, the high back from mid-December, is going to hold. That's not going to automatically create a huge level. It did at first here. So that's where I say, it held it once and ran. There's no guarantees that level is just going to keep holding. In fact, it actually goes the opposite way than that. The more times we see this level getting poked at and it's making lower highs, it's going to completely break down and just drop. So this IMMX trade, I'm not too particular about it for the afternoon. Listen, it's trading 135 plus million shares right now. I'm sure we'll check back in with this stock come tomorrow morning. But for right now, I think I think this is lights out too on the IMMX. All right, so we keep it going, folks. We'll do a little Bitcoin at the end with today being Monday. So I'll kind of recap what had happened from the weekend, from New Year's Eve and so forth. Nice pop going into the early afternoon, but after it tried to move back up here, just an ugly shake. A lot of selling kicked in at that point. The volume still dropped off afterwards, so I'll come back to this if I need to. I wouldn't mind adding it to our list if we happen to see another pop. Same to be said on CELZ. This one's done for right now too. AFI from this morning as well. This one ended up making a pretty good bounce, believe it or not, folks. I mean, for all of us in the trading room, I'm more so speaking to on this one. The opening bell print on AFI today, it's weird because you wouldn't think it based on the chart, but Bookmap showed the opening print today all the way down below where it was trading at here. It was at 237. I don't know. I mean, hey, I'm just telling you what Bookmap showed me. Nonetheless, look what happened here. Once it went under that price, right back above, it made a beautiful move. So pretty funky. That doesn't happen really that often at all. Just where it was trading here at the opening print much lower. I don't know how, but ended up creating a beautiful support, led to a nice bounce back up. And you know what? Hey, this stock is a little bit closer to the highs of the day, highs of the regular session compared to the lows. It's a stock trading pretty good liquidity. So, pretty similar to EM. If it ends up showing another pop here by the end of this meeting, I definitely wouldn't mind putting this on our main afternoon list. But there's better fish in the sea to catch. All right. So Rely right away. This we'll put this on our watch list thus far. Of course, we were commenting on this stock in the live trading room prior to us beginning this meeting. I know Rich was all over this in the early afternoon, and then just now Mark S wrote prior to us starting. Rely HOD. So obviously, right now this thing's breaking higher, breaking above the highs that it had from 2 weeks ago. We'll go with 825 here. It just broke above it recently. Let's see if that could hold as support. Otherwise, this thing is like a hot mess looking at the daily chart otherwise. 857, pretty strong top, at least back in December. But otherwise, though, I mean, hey, it looks great on the intraday. The daily chart's a little funky. So we'll see if either this past peak could hold as support, 825, maybe this one, 773, but that's pretty far away from where it's trading now. So we'll look for 825 first, and then from there, the $8 level. All right, quick water break and we continue. SPPI, I mean, I like the chart. I like the liquidity, I like the spread, love all that. If you're into watching the grass grow, this could be for you too. No, I mean, really, it could be, but it's to say this is a prototypical level 1 stock. So this would be extremely low risk for me to at least put this on our watch list so far. I don't think you're going to make as much money per share compared to Rely or the GNPX if that makes the pop back up. Actually, as I'm talking, trying to get the push back up. So yeah, this GNPX still looks pretty good for the meantime. I would assume 3 to hold as resistance at first, and then from there we'll see where it goes. All right, so we keep it going, we keep it moving. EQOS here, just flat. MOXC, I'd assume this to be really thin on the book. Yep. Pair, same thing. This IBRX had a pretty good day today. Ended up popping shortly after the open. I don't think it had much, pre-market activity, but ended up making a nice push today. Decent volume on the book. I like all of that. It ended up just dropping off recently from practically 750. Perhaps this could be support building at the same time. So I'll kind of keep this on the side as well. I think between a lot of these stocks, I'm a little uncertain of. We'll just come back at the end and cherry pick. We'll see which ones look the best. ASRT, again, same thing. I mean, near the highs. This chart looks good in the sense of it being near the highs. It broke above the high back from 2 weeks ago, it seems. So all of that looks good, but the stock's just trading like 7 or 8,000 shares a minute. Not a whole lot. The chart looks good though. So one of us call out Groupon earlier near the highs also. MMAT pretty flat. CLVS having a good day, perhaps? Flat at the highs, but flat. And that just about does it across the gainer side, folks. Trust me, I know for sure there is plenty of more stocks that are up percentage-wise. Number 50 is up 13%. So, hey, Andrea, Mark, Grant, Brian, etc. I need your help. If there's anything else that looks good, that's up and at the highs that I didn't look at just yet, type it in the chat board. Let me know. I'm going to just jump over to the loser side here first, and I guess I'll look at APLT, but yeesh, this thing's flat. Cliff in the cyber group saying he's watching the RKDA. I'll call it out if it makes the move. All right, that's good to know. I'll look at that at the end. HIMX, geez, this thing ended up making a pretty good push for us. I think it was early last week, but obviously now this thing's at the lows, shortable. So, this would be one for us to at least slip on our list here as a possible short. HIMX. If that 13 support level breaks, including the 18,000 share order on the bid. I guess what goes up comes back down in the DNAY stock from mid to end of last week. Dropped off today. It's got a thin book on that one, though. All right, folks, I think that just about does it on the loser side, and definitely a lot more on the gainers here. At the markets, retracing back up pretty nicely. So let's see what we have in the cyber group room first. Let's go to that RKDA from Cliff. Ooh, popped in the early afternoon. I missed this. The whole pop. Pop from 114 to 135. Drop back down, though, and that's the part that's throwing me off here. So, hey, Cliff, I like the fact that you're going to watch it. Hopefully, you're going to watch more than just RKDA, because if this doesn't pop, I don't want you to be stuck watching the grass grow. But this is how we work together as a team. I'm not going to put this on our afternoon watch list, but hey, if Cliff is watching this and this makes a good pop, I know Cliff's been a long-time student of CTU. He's a good trader. He makes some good call-outs. I know that. So if I see Cliff make this call-out, I'm going to turn right over to RKDA. No pressure, Cliff. No pressure. I'm teasing. From Aaron, LCID, then from Norman. I'm sorry, the FFIE after. Lucid, pretty choppy, near the highs. It's up over 8%. So I like that. You know what? As a more expensive stock, we'll see if this can make the push here. We're at least really familiar with this LCID trade, really, just over the last month and a half, right? So coiling up a little bit, a little expensive, but otherwise looks all right. FFIE from Norman, all right. Little pop up over 19% now. Is this? Yeah, it had to have been there. I may have skipped over this. I'm just not really familiar with the name, FFIE, but good call out for right now. With where we're at in this afternoon meeting, it's hard for us to not put this on our watch list. Just be careful though. If this is a head fake and if the volume dies off after, then we're not going to really follow up with it at that point. But definitely looks good right now. From Ari calling out Sava. So for comparing LCID to Sava, the reason I'm throwing LCID on the watch list here is that it's right near the highs, Ari. The Sava trade, not exactly there yet. Also, this has like an impossible to read order book. Makes it very difficult to read, the scarce and spread out orders across the bid and the ask. At least Lucid's a lot more liquid. I'd much rather you follow Lucid. Rely over 9. Of course, this is on our watch list as well. So Chris continuing to call out the Rely. Hey, we don't need to add any other stocks to our watch list, folks, if this thing is moving up the way it is. Had one of us on YouTube earlier, I think after I covered the IMMX trade, but yeah, Told you so. Ended up pulling right back down, continuing to drop off. It's right back to that previous all-time high. I just don't think that's going to hold. I think this thing completely flops. Speaking of a little teamwork here. So from Chris's call out, Bell just closed out her trade on the Rely stock just now, right off a 9. She made 50 cents on it though, big profit. All right, so folks, I'll do a little Bitcoin, and then in the time that I'm flapping my gums about Bitcoin, we'll do one last call if there's anything else. All right, let's get to Bitcoin first. I remember from last week, from Friday, one of us had asked about Ethereum. I remember that. We'll do a little Ethereum today. And also, I'll give you an update on Phantom, the one altcoin I told you about from Friday, right? So here's Bitcoin. Got a bunch of stuff going on the chart here, folks. So I just want to explain something pretty quickly. I realized this afterwards, after Friday, but doing a little research, looking at the volume, there was a huge buyer prior to New Year's Eve. I think back from the 29th and from the 30th, some mega buyer on Coinbase loaded up. Now, does that guarantee a big pop? No, no. But if someone big is buying that much, it's pretty much between these bands here. I put 4 lines up, but between the top green here and the lower bottom green, that's where this whale ended up deciding to accumulate. So since, well, it hasn't done a whole lot since, we last talked about Bitcoin back from this day. I think this was this the 29th? No, we got to move this over a little bit. My apologies. 31st. There we go, right there. That's where we last touch base with Bitcoin here. So it's just to say it's been in this range pretty much since. We would really want to see this begin to pop back above these these green lines here, because much like we talk about with stock trading, if there's a big buying level, and if we happen to see the stock re-break, re-emerge above that resistance, that's where you like to think a run is in order. So, it broke back under these lines here, and since it's been holding. So for me here, you have the 200 EMA up here on the hourly chart, plus these green lines acting as resistance. If we don't happen to see a big pop soon enough, and we're already seeing lower highs, wouldn't shock me over the next couple of days if we happen to see a bigger drop off back down perhaps to like 44.5 or even 44. And that's what I was insinuating like weeks ago. It's just been in this like tight range since. And I just realized over the weekend with this Bitcoin whale on Coinbase that ended up loading up. So I'm going to follow these green lines over the next week or so just to see if we happen to see support continue to hold or if we happen to see support break. Now, with that in mind, though, just someone had commented or asked me to go over Ethereum just from Friday. So to quickly cover that, it's more so to say this. The Ethereum chart itself was looking really bullish going back into mid-November before everything really truly dropped off. Well, since not a whole lot's changed, at least on this chart, you can reckon to say a lower high being built, still making this channel perhaps. What I'm more focused on with Ethereum, and this is where I was saying, didn't seem like Ethereum was looking as bullish, at least from the last time I actually talked about it. I think I talked about Ethereum most recently, like probably here when it was beginning to pop above resistance. But it's just to say this is the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart. So, in terms of its strength in comparison to Bitcoin, this is what you need to follow. When this goes up, Ethereum's outperforming Bitcoin. When it's dropping, vice versa. So this is a weekly chart. Well, you happen to see this red line here as resistance, popped it. All right, things are looking pretty bullish. Well, it failed to break higher at a couple of resistance lines here I quickly drew prior to this meeting. And now it's beginning to pull back under this lower red one. If we happen to see this continue to close under resistance, that ain't too bullish. It's a little bearish to me. So, that's just something to keep an eye on. That's what I was kind of insinuating from Friday's meeting with Ethereum. All right. So just keep your eyes on the Bitcoin pair charts, Ethereum to Bitcoin. And then if you're trading any other altcoin itself, the one altcoin I gave you from Friday, and I've been talking about this more off than on, really, over the last few months. I talked about it back over the summer, but Phantom, FTM, you can't buy this on Coinbase, unfortunately. I'd mentioned that to Bonnie at the end of the Friday meeting. I'm on KuCoin, KU Coin. There's some other exchanges, I believe, like Gemini, that offers Phantom. But from where we talked about it on Friday, this is the afternoon meeting back on the 31st. beautiful run. So I'm pretty excited for this. I ended up loading up right off of 243. I think I got in at 243, 242. I missed the pop at first. So I was a little upset about that, kicking myself, because as soon as we finished up this meeting, it took off. I didn't think it would be that fast. So, with this beginning to break higher, I'm thinking, all right, well, let's look for some support and we'll try and jump in. And we did that. We're in at 240, I think 3. So just wanted to give you a quick update in crypto land in regards to Bitcoin, Ethereum. Probably not going to show Phantom as much, folks. Just wanted to make mention of that from Friday. We mostly just covered Bitcoin. That's really it. Can't spend the whole meeting talking about 25 other coins, right? So I did a little Ethereum there because someone had requested it. If you have any cryptos that you wouldn't want me to go over, if I have enough time, that is, perhaps Wednesday, we'll try and slip it in. Norman, nice catch on the FFIE trade. He picked up 18 cents from 621 entry. So good time to take the profit. Back in stock land now we're going back to. So folks, if there's anything else that I may have missed, let me know. Actually, I got to send out a quick link while I'm at it. All right, going once, folks, going twice, going 3 times from Leda at the Horn. She's asking if LDI is going anywhere or if it's just teasing. Volume really crapped out. Nice pop going into the early afternoon or mid-afternoon, but not particular about that volume drop off later. So I'm going to pass on it for right now. Not a bad call, though. Whoa, hello there. My apologies. Quick little glitch on my PC. All right, folks. Nonetheless, I think that we're just about good to go, though, for all of us on Facebook Live, YouTube. As always, I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day throughout the whole day today, and probably throughout this whole week. You got me in the mornings, you got me in the afternoons. If you'd like to send over any questions, any crypto-related questions with that in mind as well, feel more than free to shoot me a quick email, josh@ctutrading.com. Again, we have our Traders Talk workshop tomorrow. So for Norman, for Leda, for Cliff, Andrea, Mark, Grant, etc., you folks know best. If you have any questions that you would like to send me for our special workshop tomorrow, feel more than free to shoot me a quick email. Again, Josh@CTU Trading. Otherwise, for all of us on social media, that's our weekly workshop we conduct in our Cybergroup trading room. If you wanted to take part in that, you just got to go right down to the link on the banner below to get yourself signed up for a week-long trial. But otherwise, I'll be back on the mic, folks, later on today. I'll tag Rich out right at 3:30 in the afternoon. Take care.